Warning, this video does contain suicidal ideation, self-harm, and narcissism, and things within mental health. If you don't feel comfortable with these triggers or anything like that, please scroll away now. This is a video talking about my ex, Gabriel. And from all this different stuff that's happened in the past few months, most of it happening through October and December. Now, I don't have a script. I'm just kind of going based off of what I remember. But when me and Gabriel first got together, I knew he had issues. He explained this to me, and I tried to support him the best of my ability that I could. And sometimes it won't always be good. Midway through our relationship, it started kind of getting a little weird. We didn't talk as much, and I kind of felt like I was always texting him first most of the time, and he was just always doing other stuff like gaming or doing shit with his friends, and that's fine. But I hate being the person who always texts first. I have dropped many friends who never reached out to me, and I was always reaching out to them, because I don't always like being the one who puts effort into a relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic. Anyways, the day we broke up, I completely forgot to text him. That was on me, but I hadn't texted him all day and I wasn't able to. My Wi-Fi connection while I'm at school is really bad. That day I couldn't send texts to anyone on any platform, and later as I'm leaving to get to guitar, he texts me at 4:30 my time, 5:30 his time, saying, "So are we just not gonna talk today?" And I explained to him that I didn't have any connection today and that he could have at least texted me first, because I wasn't able to. And I was kind of like, my mom was yelling at me about how she forgot my guitar and all that stuff. And as we were talking, as I was getting ready for guitar and I was in the car ready to leave, he brings up that we should probably break up. And, that kind of put a lot of relief on me, because I wanted to bring it up too, because I felt like it wasn't going well anymore. And so we talked about it once I got to guitar, like right before my classes started, and we broke up. I wasn't sad, to be honest. I was, but it wasn't to the point I was crying about it. And so later on, we were texting and deleting all this, old photos, old texts, not necessarily text, but just stuff that we didn't want to be reminded of. And there's nothing, I don't know. And so he posts on his story, he puts it on his note and all this stuff, saying how he misses me and stuff, saying how if all roads really do lead to Rome, and all that different stuff. And so I get a text from him after I go to bed, and the first sentence is, "I can't do this anymore," because he had brought up suicidal ideation beforehand, and I was worried about him. So that was, I was really scared. I texted all of his friends. I texted his sister, making sure that they talked to him in that, at that time. And none of them did, but, we confirmed later on that he was okay. And that everything was, fine. He was okay. And I don't know if it was the same day or the next day. It was a few days afterwards. His friend Nia, one of my friends now, texts me saying yeah, I talked to him, we talking a lot, who is this? Wait, you're his ex? And I found out he had been cheating on me for like 1 to 3 weeks. I don't remember exactly. I know it wasn't all that long. And me and Neo, we didn't know. He had lied, saying we had already broken up, and he lied to me saying that was his friend's girlfriend, but really it was his ex. And we both didn't know, so of course, we talked to him, and I ended up blocking him and stuff. And I guess all this different stuff happened. And then all of a sudden, like, one of his friends, I'm not gonna say for personal reasons, but there will be proof of different text messages afterwards. He starts texting me and stuff, and at first it was weird to me, but I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care. And like, we didn't really talk all that much. It was just like random videos, like random questions, like what's your favorite anime and shit like that. And then one day, Friday being, I get a text from him, his friend, saying, I have sad news. And, I was worried, and then, I don't really want to say it out loud. I will put the photos up once I edit this, of course, and there will be time to read it. And, I'm asking questions like, what happened? What did he do? Is he okay? And, I tell Nia, because we were on call, I was explaining all this different stuff, and, she calls his sister, and the sister wasn't answering, and she starts crying, and I feel really bad. Like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to reach out to anyone. And then she later finds out, a few minutes later, his friend lied to us, and he was on the phone with Gabriel the entire time, and Gabriel knew that he was saying this stuff because he offered to do it. And so when that happened, everything kind of like, it was really rough. Nia was crying. I was upset. I started crying, not because, I thought he actually did end his life, but because, he knew I struggled. I still do sometimes struggle with suicidal ideation, my mental health, and different sorts of self-harm. And it hurt to know the fact that he knew I've lost someone to, like, I'm not sure if it was actual or if it was an accidental overdose. He knew I lost someone very close to me like that, and that I have been stalked by a dude who pretty much threatened to end his life if I stopped talking to him. And this girl a while ago threatened to end her life if I ever stopped talking to her as well. He knew these things and still decided to do this. He decided to let his friend text me and say these things to me. And I'll admit, what I sent to him, which I'll also show in this video, it wasn't very nice. I'll admit it. It was not nice at all. I shouldn't have said what I said. But I was really mad with what he did. And it felt unforgivable. And, I brought up things I probably shouldn't have brought up. I'll admit that. I'll admit I was in the wrong for it. I should have handled it better, and I shouldn't have even, texted him overall. Now, he hasn't even read it yet, and I don't think he will. I think he's going to ignore it. But it was still wrong of him. I have texts from what Nia was saying to Gabriel and all these different things. And, he said it was a test to see if we were in contact, and how, he did it so he could know he would do it without shame or guilt, or I don't remember. And he was bringing all this different stuff up, and I just found it insane how, he used to be really kind, really caring, and then he switched like this. And, whenever things were kind of rough, I felt like things would be put on me. Like, I remember, I completely forgot about this one guy. Okay, and I didn't even date this guy, might I mention, but I liked this guy before Gabriel, and I had the same issues with him. He wouldn't talk to me that much. I was putting in all the effort, and it would take him hours to respond to me. And I told Gabriel this, and he was like, "You told me I was the first one." And he is. Okay, he's my first relationship. I've never been with anyone else before that. And so he kind of put it on me, and I felt bad. I ended up crying for a while once he said that. And we moved on from that. I'll be showing more photos and whatnot. And then I messaged someone else that he talks to. I can't say who, because privacy reasons, that they even asked me to keep it private. I texted them saying how he was acting was inappropriate, and that he shouldn't have acted the way he did, and he shouldn't have been saying all of these things. And I said, if this continues, and because two of his friends texted me that he ended his life, that I will take legal action into it, that I will call someone that would get him in trouble and probably bring him to, like, hospitalization in a mental area where people can watch him and make sure he's okay, and the fact that they do have open firearms in their house. And the dad isn't really necessarily doing anything about it. So, I can report them for these things because they have, unlocked, open-armed firearms. They have knives and swords, and the dad knows this. Gabriel has been drinking and smoking a lot, and he's become addicted to these things, and even brought it up in one of the texts with Mia. So nothing has happened as I'm recording this. It's currently 9 a.m. on Sunday, December 14th. So I will make an update video on this. So as of now, this is part 1, and possibly the only part if anything else happens. And I'm making this video because, I've been put through this now a few times, and I think that we need to have more awareness on these types of things than we actually do. There can always be more awareness on something, especially if a lot of people say they know about it, but then it goes on like this far enough where you're being manipulated, you're being gaslighted. I don't know the proper wording for this. So I don't know if I don't know. But yeah, thank you for listening to my story, and if there's anything else, you guys will be updated. Thank you. Bye-bye.